H7! Oh my gosh! It's check!
What?
What did you do, Dimitri?
What the heck? What did he just do?
He slaps his head and what was that?
Okay, here we go. Final match, round, game 1. I don't know, let's play knight f6, why not? Do the same thing, of course. I think Dimitri and I have played the Catalan like 20 times or something in the last month, so it's what I expect again, but we will see, obviously. Yep.
And now the question is bishop g2 right away, or pawn to d4. So both are viable options. He chooses d4. If d takes c, bishop g2, all that fun stuff. We know the Catalan can be very fun, and queen c2 played. So b5. This has been Hikaru's choice in many of his recent games, and it looks terrible for black. Or this just looks like a position. It has to be bad, right? Wait, can I just win a pawn? Queen c4, a b5. And, well, they're playing so quickly because it's highly theoretical at this point, that would not have won a pawn. It would have lost white the game because there are loose pieces, in particular this rook on a1. So instead, I mean, they're just going, I don't think I'm needed. I'm just going to watch. They're just playing so fast. I can't even talk in time. And I'm a quick speaker. I'm from New York, okay? These two are just moving instantly. Knight c2 with a fork of queen and bishop. I guess not the end of the world. The queen can slide to c1 and take back. So why would this position be the least bit advantageous for white? You just do a quick material count. Black is down a pawn for the time being. So that's where white's advantage is in the extra pawn. But black also has an extremely solid setup. So let me take back. Bishop f6. Okay. At some point, I can consider taking on f3, especially if I can line my pieces up against the d4 pawn. But I actually could see black getting in some trouble here if you're not careful. Queen b8, an accurate move. There are going to be positions, especially queenless positions, where you can take on f3 and get into an opposite colored bishop ending. Yeah, white will be up a pawn, but drawish tendencies are in that position. So queen b8, a nice move by Hikaru. He has more time than he started with. I think that's what you call high-level preparation. 21 moves deep, and Hikaru hasn't even broken a sweat. He hasn't lost any time. He is well within his preparation, and he knows what to do here. So what can you do as white? You can play e3, because if queen takes f4, you don't mind doubling your pawns, capturing towards the center, and then try to bring your knight to e5, things like that. It's possible. You can trade queens, but the problem for white is you just don't have time to play e3 and then move the knight, because as soon as you play e3, the bishop will take on f3, and we might just see this. And yeah, Dimitri will try to win this position. That's opposite colored bishops, and Hikaru's, he's not going to have a problem, I don't imagine.
Many different ways to play this, but I guess I'll just go g6 here. Again, not super exciting game. I go here, rook e7. I mean, objectively, this all is pretty well known to be a draw, but you still do have to prove it to some degree. There, I go here. Now, I mean, at some point, you can obviously go d5. He might actually just do it right away. No, he goes there. Okay, so I guess I'll go here. Plays bishop g4. I don't think that actually threatens anything, so I mean, I guess I'll go here.
To what avail? Like, you play f4, e4. Oh gosh, the d4 pawn will be a problem. This rook came to a7. It can activate to a2. So Hikaru is playing quickly because what he has to do is more or less shuffle back and forth. And Andreikin, the burden's on him to come up with a winning strategy. And there isn't really much of like a try, at least that I see right now. Hikaru plays bishop d8. I can play rook c7 next.
Because maybe I can even bring my bishop around the back, or like bishop e1 or something at some point. There goes king f3, logical. Again, I can play bishop f6 if I want to. I almost wonder if there's some really good reason that I shouldn't just go bishop f6. Rook c7 is also obviously a move here. I guess I'll just play it. Why not? Yes, keep the rooks on the board. I guess I'll go. I guess I'll just go here, target the pawn. Sort of just ask him what he's going to do here, because I'm just basically sitting here forever with rook d7, rook c7, and something of that nature, and I just don't really see how white's supposed to do anything.
But it just is a position where white is up a pawn. White's trying to break down black's defenses. And I think at some point you'll need to play for d5. So Dimitri, extra pawn, presence not particularly felt because of these dark squared bishops, and bishop e4 lining up d5. Hikaru says, no, you're not getting that. Of course, Dimitri can always just bring his rook around and then play for d5. So it's a slow game. Rook d6, just pinning. Because if the bishops get traded, that does help white to some extent, but rook and 5 versus rook and 4 on the same side of the board is a theoretical draw. So rook d6 played by Hikaru, he understands that rook a7 allows white to escape the pin, but this trade is just equal. Oh, he goes king f8, he doesn't even want the trade. There was a theoretically drawn position if after rook a7 takes, I mean, it's losable, sure, but still a theoretical draw, and both players know that. So instead, the king went to f8, no moves yet, and bishop can go back to e4, but good for you. Now you're just backtracking, haven't made any progress. Hikaru has everything under control here, and that's the annoying thing about some openings, and especially when the preparation comes this deep, you're like, I want a pawn.
Okay, so he goes rook c7. Can obviously play like rook d8 or something. I mean, once again, everything, all roads lead to a draw. It's just a matter of being precise. Now the question is, do I play bishop f6 or not? So I see his idea here. I actually see a legitimate idea. So I guess I'll go here. Because even if he gets the pawns rolling at some point, it's still very, very flat. Yeah, he goes king e4. I expected that. So bishop d6 is a move. Bishop b4 is also a move. Bishop b4. I'm kind of wondering about bishop b4, whether I can get away with it. There. Takes, rook takes, bishop takes. I mean, that's probably a draw, but do I really want to get creative like that or not is a question. Yeah, why not? Is it really a time to be creative? I don't think it is, so I'm going to go here. He can play d5. I trade. I go rook c7.
d5 is possible, right? You can just push this pawn d5. If you play d5, pawn takes, bishop takes, then black has to move rook c7, just defending. King will go to g7, and black is holding on along the 7th rank. So it's a position where Hikaru knows what he has to do. He needs to keep f7 under control. He's brought his rook to c7. His bishop could go to e8, but then you can't get your rook involved. Or bishop e8, if this rook could get to a7 and the black rook couldn't carry off the threat, that would be ideal, but that's not what's happening. So bishop b4, opening up a check, opening up possibilities for this bishop to go to e1 and chase down these pawns from behind. Yeah, I feel like we're getting a bunch of maneuvering and no actual progress thus far.
Very reasonable move. What is the simplest way to play this? Rook b7 is a move. Bishop c3 is a move. Bishop e7 is a move. A lot of different options. Lot of different options. Just trying to figure out what the best way to play this is. Rook c3 makes a lot of sense. I think rook c3 is probably one of the strongest moves I can play with rook a3. Let's go like bishop d6 if I want. I mean, bishop d6 seems reasonable. I guess I'll just play it, attack the rook. Let's go here on bishop a5, I assume. Oh, but I give him rook b7. I mean, whatever. It's still good enough. So I have this move.
Getting around here. Still defending c7. So Andreikin, I mean, we see him on cam here. He's really alert, but it's just a situation where Hikaru is going to continue going back and forth, and I wonder at what point Andreikin will just acknowledge, yeah, there's nothing here, just a draw, good game. You played a good defense. And, you know, you've seen on the eval bar for the last, however many, 20 moves almost, it's been hovering around 0.1, 0.2. Just goes to show that extra pawn doesn't tell the whole story. Obstacle bishops, not too many pieces remaining. So good chances to hold throughout. Now it's a bit of a question. So what I'm wondering is, can black take on c5? So let's just go a half step back here. Like if black had played bishop c7, rook c5, and you think, okay, I have to take, otherwise I lose my bishop. I think you lose this game. Yeah, you do. Okay, my impulse was right. Because these pawns are so weak on this diagonal, all these pawns in light squares, and this king gets to quickly walk up the board, I think that black would have lost if you traded rooks. And thankfully for black, you saw rook a3, even if you put your bishop on the wrong square, because we said rook and 5, rook and 4 seems how the board is a draw, and both players know that. You need to be very careful, because you may think there's never a time where the rooks can get traded because it's always going to be a draw. If I can get myself a clear pass pawn and the king can dart over to that pawn, then black could in fact lose the game.
You can obviously go d5. I'll play like rook a7, and again, it goes king e3. Now I think I can play rook d6 maybe here. So I have bishop b6 as an idea. I also have rook b6. Again, there really shouldn't be too much danger here, but you do have to be a little bit careful in these lines. Actually, d5, rook b6 draws on the spot. I think king e3 might have been a big mistake. In fact, I think king e3 just actually made this an instant draw. Yeah, king e3 was a huge mistake by Andreikin. That's a big mistake, because now he can't avoid something on b6, bishop or rook, and it's just a draw. There's just nothing he can do to dodge it. So, gonna get a draw, which means we're gonna go to blitz, which is a 3-minute, which is what I beat him in last week as well. So, wondering what I'll do. I think he realizes now that he doesn't have any way to play on, because now he's thinking for like 2 minutes, and he's realizing. Yeah, so all right, so we're gonna get a draw in this game, which means I have white 3 plus 2. I think it's 3 plus 2, and then if that's a draw, it's 1 plus 1. So should be favorable for me, but again, no guarantees whatsoever. Obviously, Andreikin's a very strong player, and anything can happen.
Yeah, he wants to find a way to play on. That's the thing. He's looking. He's like, okay, if I move my bishop away first, bishop b6. That's kind of a problem. If I move my rook to b4, stop bishop b6 ideas, but I allow rook b6 still. I don't think he's any way to stop the rook trade. So Andreikin is more or less just sitting there, breathing, and like, all right, it's a draw. What am I going to do in the blitz game? And that's what I would maybe be doing if I were Andreikin, because the game starts right away. So at least right now, if he's taking his time to like think about how he would play that blitz game, it sounds like a good use of his time, because you're right into it. So this game looks locked up. It looks drawn. And just to show you, like, let's say put f3, bishop b6, rook b4. There's e5. That's the point I was making before. So you need to deal with the dual threats of rook and bishop to b6. Because white is only up one pawn, and if you get pinned like this, you're going to lose that extra pawn, and clearly have no chance to win the game. And otherwise, rook b6. So, yeah, there's nothing here. d5, you would hope for e takes and bishop takes, but d5 is rook b6, forcing the trade, and that's a very simple draw. So Andreikin, I have a hard time imagining he's actually thinking about this position. I think he just is relaxing. That's about it. There is no winning try here. This is looking as completely drawn as it gets.
Maybe he's trying to find something, but as I said, there's really no way to dodge rook b6, which forces rooks off the board here. I guess he's using up all his time looking for something in vain to see if there's some way, but as far as I can tell, it just doesn't exist. Maybe it does, but I actually don't see it here. And he doesn't see it either, so it's just not there. Yeah, he plays e5, which is one of the more logical ways. I go here, force the rooks off, and now we draw. You know, like king f3, or not king f3, sorry, king e4, of course, and I mean, nothing's happening here. I guess I'll go here. And opposite colored bishops, pretty straightforward draw. So very solid draw for me. He plays f4. I mean, again, every pawn is on the wrong color for both sides. I guess I don't know what's the easiest way to draw this. I guess this is one of the easier ways. Just go here, I guess, d5. Let's go back. f6 is a draw. I mean, everything's kind of a draw here, but you know what? I'm not really in the mood to get cheeky, so I think I'm just going to go back with this. It's also the wrong color square as well, so there's literally zero chance for me to lose this game unless I just lose my mind. Let's just go here, I guess. Just go. I don't know. I mean, everything draws. Just go here, I guess. Here goes bishop f1. I mean, I can play f6, f5, maybe.
Definitely preparing his opening for the next game. Look, I opened chat and I see a comment that agrees with what I was saying. I do think that Andreikin is just wasting time in the sense that he is wasting time in this game. It seems like, you know, it's a done deal, and it is. But I think that Andreikin is smartly just getting himself ready for the blitz game that's about to happen.
e6, f5. Because with the bishop on c4, he's e6, e7. That's the thing. Like here he's this with the bishop cutting the diagonal. So that's why I was thinking. Well, that's why I didn't do it before, because I wasn't 100% sure if that was a draw. But now I'm certain it's a draw. Now he goes there. Logical move. Can obviously just trade, I guess, and go here. Thing is, I can even this endgame is still, this is the funny thing, even this endgame is still a draw. So goes king f4, I'll check. Let's go here.
King f6. So this is actually cool. I talk about this a lot, right? Bishop, pawn. King f6 looks like a blunder. e7. Uh-oh, I have to take. I lost not just one pawn, but two pawns. But then you just play bishop e1 or bishop e5 and take that pawn on g3. So you take, and then this is a draw because the black king just sits in the corner. And it says zeros because it is happening. I'm just looking at the side screen over there. It's exactly what's happening. And then you'll see precisely why this game is drawn.
Yeah. All right, game ends in a draw. 1 up, 1 down. Obviously, we start the next one right away. Oh, geez, we started that fast? Jeez, that was fast. Okay. He's going to play Petrov, probably. Yeah, he likes to play this.
Aha, knight d3. We're watching Carlsen Caruana in the 2018 World Championship. That weird knight d3 move, knight d5, knight d4. It's like the most ridiculous start to a game, and it's just sort of neutral, if you will. It's like no big threats. No, now there's a big threat of knight c7, but knight d4 is pretty sure the only move.
He's supposed to go knight d4 here, I believe. Yeah. So d3.
d3. So takes here, takes, there's this knight. Oh gosh, this actually is really complicated. Because if you move the knight, then you can just take it and then protect c2. So maybe it is not just a neutral position. Maybe Hikaru had something up his sleeve. A moment ago you could have taken this, and it's just equal. But instead we saw knight d5, knight d4, and d3. So the point, everybody, and he goes knight f6. But knight c7, king moves, and then you want to get c2 to get white's rook in the corner, just like white is getting your rook in the corner. So it's a very odd position, odd start to the game. Knight f6, gf6, it looks questionable with the bad pawn structure, but that was actually incorrect. Apparently knight takes c7 check was in fact better for white, but that's really hard to justify in a quick little blitz game here. And Andreikin, look at that rating, 3073. Of course, Hikaru, 3182, absolute monster, but Andreikin, clearly no slouch. And with c2 now defended, white is going to be able to kick that knight away.
Oh, he does it. Wow. Okay, I go here. Goes back. Interesting. I can play knight d2. I can also go knight c3. I don't want to spend too much time here. I guess the idea is to play knight f5 at some point. Can also play b3, but that looks a little bit too dank. c3, d4 maybe? I think I should probably just develop normally here. No need to be too cheeky. He's got double f pawns, so I'm angling for some kind of El Magneto endgame, something that's very, very small edge for white. Probably nothing too much, but you kind of just play the game and hope that something happens, and that's how it goes. And if it's a draw, it's a draw, but whatever. You move on to bullet, but you take all the fun out of it. You also play something wrong. Okay, let's see. So he does play f5, so I guess I go here. I'm trying to trade off pieces. I mean, objectively, this is obviously just, I mean, a dead draw, but okay, goes bishop g7, which I think is maybe slightly wrong, because now I'm going to get c3 and d4. Bishop g7, I think, is a mistake by my opponent. I don't know if it's a serious mistake or just a small mistake, but now that the knight on f4, I think black's in some serious trouble. Because once I get c3, d4, and I build a big white center here, I think I might just, well, maybe I'm not winning, obviously, but I think black's in a lot of trouble. And the fact that Andreikin's thinking here tells me that he realizes that.
c3 and d4, watch out for d5. I like the way that Hikaru is playing this. Knight e7, very reasonable reply by Andreikin. It's one of these positions that's clearly better for white, optically speaking, if nothing else. But how do you make progress? Like f5 is defended. This semi-open g file could be useful for black. Although I like that Hikaru's bring his king over to defend g2, so the knight is free to capture or to move at some point without having to worry about g2 falling. So what is black's plan here? I kind of want to gain space on the queen side, but if I play a5, I'll probably just play a4, and I don't think I've really gained much. b5, there might also be a4. A4 for sure. And then I think Dimitri might bring his rook over to b8 and play for b5. Strange position.
And I'm way up on the clock. I'm up a minute already, so this is looking very promising. I don't think I can lose either, which is also another big key point. You want to make sure you take all the risk out of it. Okay, so he does go bishop f6, but is there really a threat there? I don't think there is. Knight h5 maybe is a move. Oh, then he goes bishop h8 and he gets his knight d5 at some point. Do I play bishop d2? I think I'll just do it. No reason not to. Although this gave him some stupid tricks. I shouldn't have done this. Yeah, I should not have done this. This was a slight mistake by me. I'm still whoa, he trades. Wow. I did not expect that, actually. I'm kind of shocked to see that. I get his idea. He wants some knight b6 or something. But do I have b3 here? Knight c4 takes. I do.
The g2 pawn, is that an option? No, he swings his rook over. I feel like these plans I don't know how coordinated they are with each other. Like on one hand, taking the knight away from f4 and then moving over the queen side. Now this pawn's, I guess, a target. d5 takes, bishop takes, bishop f5 check, and then bishop takes h7. That steals a pawn. It does open up some files, which could be useful for black if you can get your rooks active, but your rooks aren't getting active with bishop on h7. Yeah, bishop will move back from h7. f5 does not trap the bishop.
Why did I do this? I kind of let him get some counterplay that I shouldn't have let him get. Yeah, he's got rook c8 and rook c2. I should not have done this. This was a big mistake by me. Shoot. Yeah, this was very, very stupid. Why did I allow this? I thought that my h pawn was just too fast, but it's fast, but is it actually fast enough? I'm not really sure. That's the problem. 5 rook a2, h6, king f6. I misplayed this quite badly.
So Hikaru had a huge lead on the clock, and now it's down 45 seconds to 40 seconds. And Hikaru's up a pawn, but we've seen Andreikin survive positions down a pawn before in same colored bishop ending, not his first time. And okay, no longer is Andreikin going to be down a pawn if he steals this one. So Hikaru did this to take away c2, and white still has the outside pass pawn, which is great. I'm worried about the king on f2. Like, there's no checkmate or anything, but the king is going to be walking into checks and all sorts of things nonstop for the rest of this game. So rook a5. I actually love that move.
So I go here. Why did I go eight? Actually, why didn't I play h6 there? Wait. Why didn't I play h6? That was insane by me.
Oh wait, rook g4, rook g5, bishop f3 wants rook g5. Where's this king going? Oh my gosh. I mean, it's not checkmate, but it's getting just annoyingly close. Let's put it that way. It's getting annoyingly close for this king. 20 seconds for Hikaru goes rook h4, which was a blunder. Rook g5 check.
Oh, yeah. I'm really... Oh my god. I'm messing this up. I'm losing now, I bet. Yeah, I just threw this game.
It was bishop d5? It was bishop d5. How could you blame him for going to c6? It's on defended square, putting pressure. But bishop d5 for some reason was better. And oh, we're seeing some moves. King h3. Oh, so you could have a check over here. It gave a little more flexibility. Okay, I see. All right, that makes a lot of sense now. The bishop coming. Bishop b5. Bishop b5. Oh, goodness. Bishop e6, you have to give up your rook. So that's why the bishop was supposed to go d5 in the first place. Now the king can just hop over to f6. The rook f1. King e5. Where's this king going? King f4. That threatens mate. That threatens checkmate.
What the heck am I doing? Like, why am I playing this like this? This is so upsetting. Like, I mean, I was completely winning this game, and then I just get careless and I make this total hash out of this for like no reason at all. So upsetting.
Takes b2, h6. You need to get your rooks behind the pawn. So rook g1. Okay. And what's d4? Uh-oh. No, rook h1. Wow, what a cool move there. And, okay, no rook h5. Where are you going? h7! Oh my gosh! It's check!
What?
What did you do, Dimitri?
What the heck? What did he just do?
He slaps his head and, yeah, no, what was that? Oh my gosh, he was just up in exchange. He was outplaying Hikaru completely.
Wait a second.
Oh, this is unbelievable. Still some chances, though. Not much time for Hikaru. That's a pass pawn. And the king and the rook are all close together. So king e3 and a4 is hanging in many positions. So king d4, you just have to accept that your king is walking around. Here, rook e2, queen b4, I guess b7, is that? Yes!
There we go. Yes! There we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Ooh, checkmate in one. Queen f4. The king can't escape. The rook is in its way. And Hikaru Nakamura steals that game. He stole victory from the jaws of defeat. Oh my goodness. If we go back to this moment here, I mean, Hikaru was doing everything he could to try to usher that pawn forward. Rook g8 was needed to get in front of the pawn. The d pawn is going. The king is cut off. You know, the rook is just stopping that pawn in its tracks. So Hikaru Nakamura finds the clever bishop f3 and the retreating move rook g8 not spotted, instead rook f2. That was a mistake. It was a blunder, and that means Hikaru Nakamura takes first place, today's Rapid Chess Championship knockout. Wow, that was, I mean, I don't even call it a swindle. It was just kind of a tough battle where Andreikin was completely outplaying him there from a bad position. And then suddenly Hikaru finds bishop f3.
There we go. There we go. Oof. Whew, that was stressful. I mean, I was so completely winning. How did I mess this up? I mean, it's just insane. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, I mean, just look at this position. This is such a beauty. I mean, maybe c4 is already wrong. I mean, d5 is just ridiculous. Maybe it's not, but it gets so messy here. Takes. f4 is the move. Wow. f4. f4 is, I mean, okay, whatever, computer. Whatever, computer. Anyway, whatever, we got the win. How lost was this, though? This is still bad, right? Okay. King h4 apparently is good, but okay, go here. This is still lost, kind of, right? Yeah, right around here. Thing is, he let me get this bishop d5, and once I get bishop d5, it gets very tricky here. And now he plays this, and now just like that, I mean, h7. Yeah. h4 is the only good move, and you hated it afterwards? Okay, well, whatever. That's life.